Well, who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Dome Patrol Podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and no, you're not tripping. I know you're not traveling through time. I know this is a New Orleans Saints podcast. So why are you releasing an episode after the Super Bowl? Well, the Super Bowl was pretty exciting. It was a pretty good game to whereas I wanted to talk about it. And I also wanted to talk about the Saints' new offensive coordinator, Klint Kubiak, who was the passing game coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. And we were just waiting for their season to come to an end. Unfortunately, not the way that Klint Kubiak wanted it to end, but it is over for him over there in San Fran. Now the Saints can make the announcement official that he is hired as our new offensive coordinator. But before we get into our half of the news, which is his addition to this team and what I think he's going to bring to the table here, let's go over this past Super Bowl 58, which took place in Las Vegas, baby, between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, where the Chiefs came out victorious yet again, going back to back on them, winning by the score of 25-22 in overtime. This game was very boring for the first, I would say, 2.5 quarters. After Usher finished sucking the souls out of all the women in the audience, it seemed like the team picked up after no, not the team, but both teams picked up after halftime, and it became kind of an exciting game. Now, I say it was boring for a lot of fantasy football players. It was boring. Those who had football pools, it was boring because it wasn't any scoring going on. There wasn't any exciting big plays throughout this game. It was a chess match going on between Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the 49ers, and Andy Reid, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Both really good coaches who I think just didn't want to take a big chance with their offense of play calling. That's the way I felt throughout the game because nobody wanted to make a mistake. Even though there were a plethora of mistakes in this game. I think there was, about 4 turnovers total in this game, but none really hurt either team. Maybe one. One did. But for the most part, this was more of a defensive battle. But at the end, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are still the Super Bowl champions. They repeated. And with a relentless defense and some opportune plays by their star quarterback, including a handful of overtime scrambles that really saved the game. The Chiefs won their 3rd Super Bowl in 5 years. After posting a losing record in December, the Chiefs embraced this kind of an underdog role, which is weird to say, but it's true. They were counted out this year. They had to go on the road for the first time. Well, at least Patrick Mahomes had to go on the road in some hostile territories. He had to go to Buffalo and beat Josh Allen. He had to go to Baltimore and beat the league MVP Lamar Jackson. And he did it. And then in this Super Bowl, go up against the number 1 seed in the NFC. And he did it yet again. I think it's time to put to bed if Patrick Mahomes is truly one of the GOATs. He is. He is. I don't know where this debate come from. I always felt that way about Patrick Mahomes. I'm a huge Patrick Mahomes fan. I love his game. I love how he puts the team on his shoulders. For years it was Andy Reid calling the plays. That's why. But they act like Andy Reid hadn't been calling plays for 50 years. If that's the case, Andy Reid would have a plethora of Super Bowls. That ain't the truth. He needed Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes crossed that hump for him. And then for the first few years of his career, oh, he has Tyreek Hill. He can't win without Tyreek Hill. Well, he run 2 back to back without Tyreek Hill. This year, he didn't have any receivers. The receivers were dropping balls left and right. They couldn't do, nothing went right. Nothing was going right. But they held it together. They held it together long enough to get to this run through the playoffs and into this Super Bowl. And so you have to tip your hat to this young man, tip your hat to this organization, and to Andy Reid. It's time to put that debate to bed as well. Is Andy Reid one of the greats? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Andy Reid, you can put him up there with the, dare I say, Chuck Knowles. Dare I say, the Bill Walshes. Dare I say, the Tom Landrys. Come on, man. This dude, when he was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, what he went to 4, 5 straight NFC championship games. He went to a Super Bowl. They've been to 5 Super Bowls, I believe, or 5 straight AFC championship team games as a team, the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. So it's time to put that to bed. He's one of the greats. This is truly a dynasty. I believe this is a dynasty. 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. That's the definition of a dynasty. So the Chiefs did trail by double digits in the first half, and they turned the ball over twice as well, prompting all-pro tight end Travis Kelce to body check Andy Reid in frustration. Now, that kind of blew me there. I was like, man, come on now, because if that was anybody else, there would be some stank behind. But being as though it was Travis Kelce, it was, oh, that's passion. But if it was somebody else, oh, he's a cancer. Come on. We've heard it. We've heard it time again in the NFL and in other sports as well. But I did not like that. That was disrespectful as all get out, man. You don't check your coach like that. You can argue. You can be upset. But bumping into him almost knocked him. He literally almost knocked Andy Reid down. Nothing was done. Nothing was said to him because he's Travis Kelce. Taylor Swift rather was in the in her little box watching, so they couldn't do him that. Anyways, but Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, who trailed by double digits in all 4 Super Bowl appearances, nothing new. This is nothing new for him. He stayed calm. He rallied his team with some help. He had some special teams help. They got a turnover on special teams. They got turnovers by the defense, so he had help. And a blocked extra point by the special teams. So special teams came up big for the Chiefs today, because that 1 point, that extra point, is what lost them the game ultimately. Them being the 49ers. And so big performance from the special teams of the Kansas City Chiefs. The 49ers had the ball for 2 minutes and 51 seconds to go in a tie game, but with Steve Spagnuolo sending his famous blitzes on 3rd down late in the 4th quarter, and it forced the 49ers to kick a field goal. Patrick Mahomes got the ball back with less than 2 minutes left to play in regulation, and he just drove them down the field like he did, using his legs and his arms. And they were able to get in position for a game-tying field goal to send this game into overtime. Only the 2nd overtime game in Super Bowl history. The first one being Atlanta and New England. Ironically, that game had Kyle Shanahan, who is the head coach of the 49ers. He was the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons in that game. Yes, yes, people, the famous 28-3 game. That was the game that went into overtime, which the Atlanta Falcons ultimately lost. Just throwing it out there. But yes, get into overtime. The 49ers get the ball first. They manage to kick a field goal. And with the new overtime rule, whether they would have scored a touchdown or not, it would have, well, at least the Chiefs would have had another shot at it. And so it wouldn't have ended with a touchdown. It's, so either way, the Chiefs would have got the ball back. But holding them to that field goal defensively saved the game. And that led to the Chiefs marching down the field and getting their opportunity to win, which they did 25-22. To go over the box score real quick for this game, let's begin with the passing for each team. The Kansas City Chiefs leading passer was Patrick Mahomes. He was 34 of 43, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times. For the 49ers, Brock Purdy, he was 23 of 38, 255 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He was only sacked once. But Jenkins, their wide receiver, he was 1 of 1 for 21 yards and a touchdown today. He had an awesome game. I actually voted I actually voted for him as MVP in the fourth quarter because I thought that the 49ers was going to win. And I went on NFL.com and voted for him as the MVP because not only did he throw a touchdown, he ended up catching one later on as well. Rushing for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes was the leading rusher. He had 9 carries for 66 yards. Isaac Pertinko, he had 18 carries for 59 yards. For the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries for 80 yards. Brock Purdy was 3 carries for 12 yards. Leading receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs was Travis Kelce, 9 catches for 93 yards. For the 49ers, it was Christian McCaffrey, 8 catches for 80 yards. Turnovers today, fumble-wise, the 49ers, they fumbled the ball twice, and they lost both of them. The Kansas City Chiefs fumbled the ball 5 times. They only lost one of them, though. But they fumbled 5 times, plus an interception. So, at the end of the day, this game pretty much went the way I figured it would go. It was tightly contested. These were the 2 teams that needed to be there. They deserved to be there. These were clearly the 2 best teams in the league. You can make an argument for the Baltimore Ravens, but the way Baltimore played in that AFC Championship game, clearly they did not deserve to be there. But these were the 2 best teams, in my humble opinion, and this was the only way it could have been decided, in overtime. It had to go extra quarters to get this one decided. And kudos, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. Great season, great way to exercise some of those demons, laboring them. The underdogs this season was just foolish by people. I never subscribed to that, never understood that. It was just ridiculous to me. Another point I wanted to talk about with the 49ers side of the ball, they also had some injuries, man. They had some injuries throughout this game. It was almost to the point like they're not going to win. They're cursed. They're cursed. You had Drake Greenlaw blow his Achilles running onto the field. It was just random. He just running onto the field and bloop, he just fell flat. I don't mean to laugh because it's sad. And that was a big, big, big loss for the 49ers defense. You had Debo go down, but he ended up coming back in the game. But he went down for a little while. You had other players on the offensive line go down at crucial points. On defense, in this secondary go down. I'm like, man, It was almost it was almost like every other play. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Man, I feel bad for them, but at the same time, they still put up the fight of their lives. There's nothing to hang their head about. Yeah, they made some mistakes, you know, down the stretch, uh, actually throughout the game, but none. It didn't really cost them. Their mistakes didn't cost them, with the exception of that punt, the fumble off of that punt, or the muff, and the blocked extra point. Uh, those were big, but they were kind of canceled out at the same time with Kansas City Chiefs turnovers as well. So it really wasn't like either team was dominating at any point in this game. There was no domination. Um, it was just situational football towards the end of the game, where I think Andy Reid's experience and Patrick Mahomes' experience over Brock Purdy just took it to the next level. You know, they showed their head, and it worked, and they won. But anyway, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs on their Super Bowl victory. Also, hey, congratulations to the San Francisco 49ers. They had an excellent season. I know they don't want to hear it. You know, in their eyes, it was a failure. And I get it, but excellent season by them. And congratulations to Klint Kubiak for being on part of that staff to get them to the Super Bowl. But we move on, and so do Klint Kubiak. He moves on as the new offensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints after a lengthy search, after pretty much doing their due diligence with everybody. It seems like in the NFL, on every coaching staff, and I was getting mighty frustrated. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, come on, man, make a decision, because I'm looking at around the league, and teams are moving on, getting new coaches, getting their staffs put together fairly quickly. They know what direction they want to go in. The Saints were looking like they didn't know what direction they were going in, but I can't say that they were kind of singular in the type of coach they wanted. They wanted a coach that was a part of this Shanahan tree. Some type of coach that came from either Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay over there in for the Rams. They wanted that type of coach to have that type of offense, you know. And so I don't want to say settled. I don't want to say they settled for Klint Kubiak. I mean, because some of the early names that they were interviewing, they were even getting second interviews from. They either moved on to another position or chose to stay where they were at. And at that point, I was like, yeah, okay. It's kind of bad when somebody doesn't want to get a pay raise. You know, I'm looking at you, Gerard Johnson over there in Houston. He is the quarterbacks coach over there. And I thought that would have been a nice pickup, you know, a nice signing. But he chose to stay as the quarterback coach as opposed to being the offensive coordinator. And I was confused by that. I mean, what would prompt a person to not take a higher position with a team? Is it that bad over here? You know what I'm saying? Those are the type of things I look at. But Klint Kubiak, he comes from some real good coaching pedigree, whether it was in his house or on the staffs that he's in. The Saints are expected to finalize a deal with Klint Kubiak pretty much, I guess, after this game or sometime this week, to become the new offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. And this comes from every single NFL source you can think of, whether it's Adam Schefter or whoever, name one. All of them are reporting this. And the Saints are also expected to add Chicago Bears quarterback coach Andrew J. Nako, and longtime NFL offensive line coach John Burton to Kubiak's staff. The Saints fired longtime offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael just this past month, and Klint Kubiak is the son of Super Bowl winning coach Gary Kubiak. He spent one season as the Minnesota Vikings offensive coordinator in 2021, replacing his father nonetheless after being promoted from quarterback coach. Klint Kubiak, he's 36 years old. He spent 2022 as the Denver Broncos passing game coordinator and quarterback coach under Nathaniel Hackett. Kubiak's second stint in Denver, nonetheless, after the Broncos offense got off to I guess slow start, to put it kindly, under Hackett. The coach relinquished his play calling duties to Klint Kubiak in mid-November, and the offense got noticeably better after Klint Kubiak began calling plays for the Denver Broncos that season. Kubiak joined Kyle Shanahan's coaching team as the passing game coordinator just this past season. I'm gonna be honest and say that I I have really no opinion on Klint Kubiak, to be fair of the situation, because I don't know what he's going to bring to the table here. I can't tell you what type of offense he's going to bring here. Is he going to have that kind of innovative play calling that Kyle Shanahan has? Well, it isn't like he's been with Kyle Shanahan or part of his staff for 4 or 5 years or something. You know what I'm saying? So it is nothing like that. Now, if you want to go by his dad's philosophy, Gary Kubiak, the way he orchestrated an offense, it was run. It was a run-heavy offense. I think he had 1,000-yard rushers every year under him. He knew how to get the best out of your running game. And with Alvin Kamara here, hopefully, Kendrick Miller, some innovative things you could do there, if that's what that's what I'm basing it on. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't want to get my hopes up like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, he's gonna do this. Yeah, he's gonna bring this to the table and bring that to the table. Honestly, I don't know. Because if I get my hopes up for a certain style of offense, and next season we come here and we get this bland paint by numbers offense, I'm gonna be fighting mad. So I don't want to go down that road. I want to see what he has, and I'm willing to give him a chance. Of course, I have no other choice, really. we as the Who Dat Nation don't have a choice in the matter. But I am happy. I'm happy we settled on something. This is something different. Either way we go. Think about it, people. I know the offense was ranked fairly high in the past couple of seasons under Pete Carmichael, God bless him. But it can't get any worse. That was a bland offense, man. That was a bland offense. Not innovative at all. The league now, just look at this Super Bowl, right? Look at the Super Bowl that we just watched. Those were two innovative offenses. They found ways to win. You find ways to win. If something's not working, they did something different. Patrick Mahomes is not a running quarterback. Contrary to a lot of people's belief, that's not his thing. He doesn't run the ball. But it got to a point in that game when he had to run the ball. He had to do something different. They had to switch up how they motioned certain players, certain receivers, and get them open, scheme ways to get their players open. And they brilliantly did that. New Orleans Saints offense for the past few years, none of that. We're going to run this. If it works, it works. If not, oh, we'll just dump it down to Kamara. Or we'll dump it down 3 yards to whoever is there, or take the sack or try to force it into something. It's no way, man. There's no way that should go this way in this new NFL. That's the NFL. All teams are doing it. Andy Reid is doing it. Andy Reid hadn't always had an offense like this. This isn't Andy Reid's forte, but now he's coaching to the best of his players' abilities. He has Patrick Mahomes. He knows, okay, I can't do XYZ here. Or I can do this. I can trust on Patrick Mahomes to make the right decision in this situation. So he has the freedom to make those plays, or play calls. But here, it's going to be a little more difficult. But like I said, I'll have to see what Klint Kubiak brings to the table, what pieces he's going to bring, what type of staff he's going to assemble. I mean, the players are here to do something with. I mean, just look across this offense, man. Now, you can pretty much guarantee that Michael Thomas is gone. But you look at these young crop of receivers that the Saints have on their roster right here, with Olave, Shadeed, Perry, Bolden. We have some weapons here. We have something to play with. So that's fun and exciting to explore. Your backfield, man, with Kamara, hopefully. I keep saying hopefully because we don't know. Honestly, we don't know what the Saints are going to do in this predicament that they're in, salary cap wise, or what they're going to do in the draft or try to move up in the draft. You're going to have to mortgage some players if that's the case. And the only player in my eyes who hold value is Alvin Kamara. At least he holds the most value. I'll put it that way. But I'm hoping he stays. I hope he comes back. But anyways, you have Kamara. You have Kendrick Miller, so you have some toys to play with in the box. So jury's out. We're going to have to play the rating game for the next 5 or 6 months. So, it is what it is. But yeah, that's the latest news from the Who Dat Nation. Klint Kubiak, the new offensive coordinator for our New Orleans Saints. Oh man, let us all go in prayer that he is the man that's going to turn this offense around and hopefully get this team back on track. But I would love to know your feelings about this hire. What are you optimistic? Do you think it's going anywhere, or what do you think? Well, I mean, honestly, what do you think? I would love to know, and I would also love to know, did you enjoy this Super Bowl? Did the team you want to win, or were you pulling for the 49ers? I'd also let me know that. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the KB Radio Network on all social media platforms. You can also subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this recap of Super Bowl 58, where the Kansas City Chiefs go back to back and defeat the 49ers by the score of 25-22. And the Saints have found their guy in offense as they hire Klint Kubiak as their new offensive coordinator. Everybody, enjoy the rest of this Mardi Gras season down here in New Orleans, and enjoy the rest of this off season as the NFL football season is officially wrapped, and we are on to the off season where we are prepping for free agency, the draft, and all that other good stuff. So of course the Dawn Patrol podcast will be back to discuss any breaking news regarding the New Orleans Saints. Until then, I'm going to be screaming for the next 5 to 6 months. Who that?